Hi, I'm Daisy. I'm a Year 6 teacher.
Hi, I'm Zara and I'm a Year 2 teacher.
We know each other, we work together, and we have been working together since we were NQTs 3 years ago. So Zara, how did you get into teaching?
So I actually did a primary education degree, which was for 3 years. The first year we did 4 weeks on placement in a primary school. I was actually in Year 4. In my second year, I was in reception and I did that for 6 weeks. And then in my third year, I was in Year 1 and that was for 13 weeks.
Interesting, yeah.
What about you?
So I actually had jobs before this. I taught abroad for a long time. I worked in a sixth form college and then decided primary is kind of what I wanted to do. And I did schools direct, so I worked in the school the whole time. I got paid, which was good. And you just kind of get thrown in the deep end that way.
Did you do that alongside doing assignments or anything? Or
yeah,
was it
so
just
still had to go
teaching?
to university, still had to do all the assignments, and you actually get a PGCE qualification out of that. So that was really great because you have your postgraduate qualification.
How come you didn't want to do secondary? Because obviously
So I worked in a sixth form college for a really long time, but for me, I think that primary education is one of the most crucial things because this is where they are learning their fundamental skills. And if you can kind of get that done there and nail that, the impact that has long term is just spot on.
Yeah.
Day to day, how do you start your day? What time do you get into work?
So it depends, but most of the time, especially at the start of term, I like to get into school about 7:10, just because I like the time to, print all my resources, do all the trimming, have a coffee, catch up with everybody. Because then I feel like I'm at my desk, ready to be in my classroom at 8:30, ready for when the kids come in at 9:10. Because as soon as those kids come in at 9:30,
it's just all systems go.
Yeah, you can't be off your ball at all.
No.
You've got to kind of leave whatever happened last night or at home kind of at the door.
Yeah.
And just put on a smile.
Yeah.
For those kids.
Yeah.
Really.
Completely agree, yeah.
Because like you said, you're with them. I was thinking about it the other day, you literally spend those kids spend all of their time with you. They spend 2 days a week, obviously aside from holidays, with you.
Yeah.
I think it's just mad.
And you just know everything about them.
Yeah. What about after school? What kind of things do you do after school?
So it varies. Some days we've got meetings. Some days we've got meetings across different schools, across different places. CPD training, whether that's about learning new ways of teaching, applying different approaches to things, even just getting planning done.
Yeah. Marking.
Don't forget marking. How could I? So it varies. Different times of the year, different types of stresses.
Yep.
Obviously you're doing
especially
SATs
being
at the
in Year 2 and Year 6.
Yeah.
SATs pressure is on.
What is the main because in Year 6 it's just test. Is that the same in Year 2?
Yeah, I would say from the start of the year, we didn't really focus on tests much because there was a lot of things we had to pick up from Year 1 to kind of...
And they're still young.
Yeah. And so you feel quite cruel to just be right, here we go, do a 10-page test. But after Christmas, that's just what it was because you just got to expose them to it because otherwise they're going to get to the SATs and they're not going to know
what to do.
They're going to look at it and be like, what? Because I was talking about today with my TA, it's not even the content of a reading paper, for example, it's actually understanding how to answer a question.
Yeah.
So not only do we have to teach them the content and how to understand word meaning, we have to actually physically teach them the techniques to answer the question.
Yeah.
So, and that is quite hard, especially when they're only 6 and 7.
Yeah.
They're still figuring out how to share on the playground and you've got to help them do all of this in the classroom.
Yeah. What do you find the most rewarding thing about our job?
Do you know what? I think it's ever since being in Year 2, I just love all the hugs that I get. I literally held the door open for them to go for lunch and every single one of them, have a good lunch, miss, have a good lunch. It's just so, and as well, when you're working with a child and they get it, I know that's such a cliche thing to say for a teacher, but if you're not a teacher, you don't know how much work goes into that child going from one step to another, and then to actually see it happen, it's just wow.
Yeah.
It's like even one child in your class last year, he couldn't do his own medicine.
Yeah.
And now he can. He can do his own like diabetes medicine.
Yeah.
So it's like different wins like that, I think that.
Yeah, like you're not going to come out at the end of it and have 30 kids that can all do A-level maths.
Yeah.
But seeing each child make that difference.
It's just like those small wins, isn't it?
I love that as they get older as well, they like develop their own personalities.
Yeah.
And you can really see each child like grow into who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, like such.
What would you say is the most challenging thing? And I wouldn't say just like about like being in year 6, but just like generally.
I think when you think about it as like a wider concept, like every day we go in and we're in charge of 30 children who most of the time they're still young, still developing, still learning, and you just sometimes you take a moment and you're like, oh, hang on, I'm here. Like anything that happens is on me.
Yeah.
But you just get like.
Well, that was like when we went on that school trip, and it was just you and me.
And it was like, right, 60
we're responsible
kids.
for 60 year 5 children.
Getting on a train.
All the TAs are just looking at us as our point of call.
Oh my God, I must have done about 60.
We did one all the time,
like
didn't we?
Attendance checks.
They must have got, I just got my register out.
Yeah, off the train, at the theatre.
And I was like, here, and they were like...
Didn't lose anyone though.
No, we didn't. That is a good thing.
Yeah. What about, like, in terms of, what do you think makes a good teacher?
I think it's just being like personable and being able to like really, I wouldn't say relate, because I can't relate to a 6-year-old, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, you just have, I don't know, it's just building a relationship with them. You have to be able to do that, because I think you can't, with some children who may have behaviour issues, if you don't build a relationship with them, you're not gonna find a common ground.
You're just gonna keep crushing.
Exactly.
Like, over and over again.
Exactly. You have to be able to build a relationship with them, and you have to kind of see from their point of view.
Yeah.
Even though I'm 24 and they're 6 years old, I can kind of see, oh, okay, I know why that would upset you. You can't just be...
That's useless.
Bye kind of thing. They have to see like a friend in you in a way.
Yeah.
They have to see you as someone that they can trust, I think.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is being able to be flexible and adapting.
100%.
Because you start one thing at 8:30, 20 minutes later,
It's something different.
you've put 3 little fires out and you've had to adapt what you're doing. If you aren't able to think on your feet, if you aren't able to just amend what you're doing to meet different needs, it's just impossible.
Yeah.
And that, I think, makes it really...
I think if you're a person who's stuck in your ways, teaching may not be the job for you. Because like you said, you have a plan in your head. Like yesterday, for example, I had a plan in my head about how I wanted the afternoon to go. And then my partner teacher came to me and said, oh, we've got the fire brigade coming in. So I was like, great. So you've just got, at lunchtime, that was like 2 hours before they came in, I was like, right, I've got to change what I've got to do.
Yeah.
You have to be able to adapt and just be quick with your changes and stuff.
Yeah.
Even in the lesson.
Yeah,
like if I see a group of children, oh, they haven't got it. Right, let's stop.
How can I find another way for them
I'm not going to do this now because they don't get it, so I'm going to have to stop and do whatever I need to do.
Completely agree. One thing that I kind of have to deal with a lot in year 6, I don't know, maybe it's different in year 2, is a lot of the like socialisation between the children.
Yeah.
I've learnt a lot about different social media since being a year 6 teacher. I mean, having to know what different language is, different like phrases, different things, dealing with that kind of
all like the lingo.
All the and even just like what they're saying to each other. You know, they're in year 6 now. They're going through all these different like social changes, who's friends with who, all this kind of thing. What about in year 2? Like, what are your priorities?
I would obviously say like phones and that is definitely not an issue in year 2, but I think it's more because they're still finding their feet a little bit. They're still kind of, I don't know, like they're figuring out their friendships. So I would say it's more just like issues on the playground most of the time. It's a lot of sharing or the children saying like, oh, they're silly, and someone taking that to heart kind of thing. It's just kind of dealing with issues like that, really. And it's also just them being quite needy. They're still at the point where some of them miss their mum. And I know it's really late in the year now, but some of them will come in crying
those
and be
emotional
like,
things.
or even like the other day, actually, some girl had an eyelash in her eye. And obviously we can't put our finger in there. So I was like, right, come here, I'll put it. And she started crying because I think she was just like overwhelmed by it. But like for me, if I get an eyelash in my eye, it's like, right, okay. Yeah. Whereas, so it kind of like puts it into perspective, like that's an issue in their life.
Yeah, yeah.
And like if I compare it to like year 6, like those are issues.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas
but
like,
at the time that is for them.
Yeah, especially at such a young age.
Do you think the priorities between like the needs of like the day-to-day needs of Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 are different?
I wouldn't say, I don't know. Like,
I feel like
I would say we go about the same kind of prep. I feel like teachers in general do the same kind of prep for their day.
Yeah.
But it might be that, I don't know, it depends on your day-to-day, doesn't it? Like you might have a meeting about, I don't know, SATs data, whereas I don't have that.
Yeah,
so I think it just depends on your timetable, I think, for the day.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I feel like in year 6, it's a lot of focus on transition as well.
Yeah.
So they have to be prepared to go to secondary school and ensuring that they're ready for that. So it's like a lot more writing at length. Is what they're writing like meaningful? Is it accurate? Whereas in year 2 or Key Stage 1, it's a lot more of, right, this is what makes it good.
Yeah.
Whereas
we focus more on like, you know, sentence structure and then being able to just nail a good sentence.
Yeah.
They don't like your year 6s, we don't have the worry of transition because I think they're still at the point now and they're still quite young where they don't like, I think I was talking to them about it the other day, and they just couldn't believe that they were going into year 3. Like
still
soon.
a big concept.
Yeah, they were just like, oh no, but you're still going to be our teacher. And I was like, but I'm not. Like you're going to be going to a different class.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know when that will hit them, but I think it'll only hit them when they actually get to year 3.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'm not in year 2 anymore.
Do you think it's really hard at the end of the year when you have to leave them?
Yeah, I know. I'm not looking forward to it. Even today, one of the kids was like, Miss, I'm leaving. And I was like, yeah, but not until the end of the year. But like, she was so upset about it. And I was like, I think because they're younger, I've got more of an attachment to them. Whereas if they're older, like they kind of just forget about you.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas when they're like that young, I don't, because they're so young, I think that you have an impression on them.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's quite important. If you are like a Key Stage 1 teacher, you have to kind of be a bit more nurturing. Like I'm not saying that like
oh no, it's less
teachers,
of a worry though in year 6. Absolutely.
Because they're going to go to year 7 and they're going to be like, oh, like they're going to forget. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like sometimes if I'm too strict with my kids, I feel really bad. But then I'm also like, but you're being naughty. So I need to. It's
like boundaries, but not like pressure.
Yeah.
Which is the constant battle for everyone, I think.
Well, Sonic TV, it is a wrap.